Just a couple of guys, a couple microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Noodles? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know show. We are locked and loaded and so excited right now because guess what's tomorrow night? Football. It is back, baby. And we got yet another season to find out who is going to be hoisting that Lombardi trophy by the end of it. And it's going to be a very bumpy ride along the way. So I can't wait to get right into this right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Joe, and there's already some injuries that are mounting up right now with some things. We get to see Cooper Kupp will not be starting in week 1, and also Travis Kelce, again, that's been the news as of late. Luckily for him, he did not hyperextend his knee, but it looks like it's just a bone bruise for now for them. But again, Shut it down for week 1. Why not? Because this guy has been healthy, hasn't missed a game since 2013. You need him in the lineup to get it going, and you need him at the end for playoff time. And this is what the Chiefs are trying to do, and what they always try to do, gear up for playoff time, and then they're ready to lock and load.
Yeah, of course. And that's the one thing is, like, you can never predict injuries. And he tweaked his leg in practice or whatever, and that's kind of leading him to be left out of the lineup in week 1, which could be a big deal. I know there's some reports out there that they're saying that this might drastically alter their offense. We already know that they've gone through a little bit of changes in terms of the receiving core. No more Mecole Hardman there. So I wonder, if at all, if it's going to change anything. We know that he's the go-to, but they have other tight ends that are more than capable of taking over.
All right, Joe, we've got Nathaniel McWirtz in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, Nathaniel?
Yo, he's
excited?
He's drafted 11 fantasy football leagues, and he has 2 more going on tonight.
I hope that they're non-money leagues.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how much money
that would
do
be
you
a
have,
lot.
dude? That's
be a lot of
crazy.
spending.
They should be free ones or something. And then if they are, what are you guys playing for? Just for the heck of it? Or like, hey, I beat you and stuff like that, or is there something else on it? A lot of people do the
that's the
championship
crazy thing too. Is you bring up that, right? Like, there are leagues out there where you play for free, and whoever is the winner at the end is the winner, and that's it. A friend of mine,
all free, he says.
Yeah, a friend of mine is in a 12-man league, and he was just telling. I was trying to help him out with the draft until I found out that it's for nothing. It's just for free. You got 12 guys lined up, and they're doing their league and everything. I'm like, so you guys aren't really playing for anything. You're just whoever the winner is the winner, and that's it. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you got to have some incentive though. Like, I don't care if everybody pays $10 a person or something. Gotta have some kind of incentive, don't you? Not just bragging rights.
All free, all PPR.
I mean, and that's the staple now with a lot of leagues right now. PPR is the way to go. It's a little bit more exciting. More points are scored that way and whatnot. So, good luck to you, Nathaniel, and all 11 drafts plus totaling 13.
All right, Joe, let's get into it. What we're going to do is we're going to just do our predictions for the divisions quick, and then get into our picks for week 1. Anything you guys want to talk about, bring it on there. Again, we threw a question out there. What's your bold predictions coming up for this next upcoming season? Let it be whatever you want, whatever you think even it might be. Your best quarterback, wide receiver duo, somebody getting a certain amount of yards, whatever. Who's going to light it up? Who's your sleeper picks? Let us know in the comments. AFC East, Joe, we got the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. What do you got in this one?
This is one of the harder divisions to pick. Like, there's so much change in terms of the Jets. The Dolphins are healthier. The Patriots got a little bit better. They got a legitimate offensive coordinator, so that's got to change some things for them. The Bills, we know who the Bills are. The Bills got a tremendous defense, good offense. How I kind of went about this is I kind of struggled a little bit. Like, obviously, I put the Bills at the top. They're my number one. After that, it got a little murky for me. I tried to start comparing rosters between the Jets and the Dolphins and the Patriots and different scenarios. I came up with the Jets actually to finish second. And honestly, I definitely think this could happen. The Dolphins, I have them at third, and I have the Patriots falling last in this division, but not because of it's just so close. Every roster is so close in terms of like production and personnel that has high value that it makes picking these teams so difficult. Now we're before we even get to week one, we're picking these divisions based off of how they are right now. They're all healthy. So the real trick is the long road through the season is how healthy each team can stay.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Again, I'm looking at this division again, and I think it's a lot tighter than you think, too. The addition of Aaron Rodgers makes all the difference in the world. And I know a lot of people around here, especially upstate New York area, there's nothing really a whole lot going on. So what do they try to do? Drum up something. So the talk around here now is trying to find a weakness out of this Jets team. So they obviously have to go to the offensive line. They don't have a lot of time spent together as a whole, and that's what they say. What really makes an offensive line gel is the guys working together and knowing each other and being on the same page. Elijah Vera Tucker's about they're better offensive linemen for them, but again, Mekhi Becton's hasn't been there. You know what I mean? So now he finally gets to get a starting spot and be here and play. But when they break it down, it's not. It's such a good team that this has to be their weakest part, but I don't think it's a heel for them. I don't think it's a weakness like if they have a terrible offensive line, like Aaron Rodgers is going to be running for his life. We saw many different seasons with him, with the Green Bay Packers, with Hall of Fame and even all-pro linemen that were just injured all the time and not being able to play for him, and he's made it work. The fact that he has gone 80-10 with at least having also a defense that allows less than 20 points a season is big too, because I think this New York Jets defense can be very good. And the last couple seasons, they've really put it to the Buffalo Bills too, with a Zach Wilson or a Mike White in there. So
that's before the improvements.
I give them the benefit of the doubt. So I think this upcoming matchup, even in Monday night, is going to be a real tight one here. And for the division, I think the Bills are vulnerable again, and I don't really think their defense is as good as the Jets' defense. So it's a tale between the two offenses. So I think that the Jets will take the division here, and the Buffalo Bills will sit on the backside of here. Just that's how much of a difference Aaron Rodgers makes, and in this division to where the only other quarterbacks you got there is Tua and Mac Jones. So it's got to be between the Buffalo Bills, and I think the Jets made the better improvements this year.
I don't know. I mean, I when I was looking at this team, you got to remember, you just talked about it. The Jets in their offensive line not playing together as a unified group, where the Bills have been playing together for the last 3 years now. Their defense, super all ingrained. They gel extremely well together. They know what their expectations are. In the Bills' offense, they managed to improve it by adding yet another tight end coming out of the draft in Dalton Kincaid, that I think that they're going to definitely utilize both tight ends in certain points of the game. And you got the receivers. You got Gabe Davis. You got Stephon Diggs.
Receivers.
Who?
Isaiah McKenzie.
He wasn't that much of a big part.
I mean, they don't have much other besides that.
I mean,
so
they just need the two.
If you look at it again, if you put Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers next to each other, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers every single time.
I'm taking Rodgers too.
So, but and they're going to face each other twice. So, I mean, that's enough to take the division.
But again,
right there.
What I'm saying is you're talking about team together. Mm-hmm. Jets have a really good defense. Bills got a really good defense. Like if you're comparing both of them, they're both set to win. They're both ready to win now. Where I think that the hard part's going to be is for the Jets offensively to come together as far as the protection up front. Mm-hmm. Now that's always been Achilles heel for them is injuries up front. So if that starts to trend once again this year, then that's going to kind of really hinder this offense. So not to say that it can't happen to the Bills. Definitely could happen to the Bills too. But I like the consistency that the Bills have been playing to this point. Rodgers does give the Jets a huge boost for sure, and that's why I really have them both battling up top.
All right, what do you have next for the Dolphins, the Patriots, Jets, or where you
Dolphins and Patriots is what I had in the next two.
Okay. I go the same way. I wrote that too. I'd say Buffalo Bills would be next, and then the Dolphins, same thing. Really great team. And just, in a tough division with these two stellar quarterbacks where Tua, he's doing the Brazilian jiu-jitsu and still trying to get it going here. But we'll see how they do. They did really well last year, making the playoffs too on top of it. They happen to be in a tough division. So
and that's the thing, nuts. Too, is you bring up the Dolphins were able to make the playoffs, but they made it without Tua. Like, Tua was hurt, Tua was banged up, and he had all those concussions. Now, that's the big key for them this year is how healthy he can stay. Can he stay out of the whole concussion protocol deal and be able to play all season long? Because if he was able to last year, we saw how impactful that Dolphins offense was. They were almost unstoppable when they wanted to be. And that's kind of what's exciting for Miami. Defensively, they're another team that is good on offense and defense. So they can handle their own. And that's why I feel like they're still in the whole conversation here. Maybe not to win the division, but maybe they do, in fact, return back to the playoffs if they keep fighting strong.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next division. Let's go the AFC North here.
AFC North. This one is another one that was boggling my mind. I had a hard time with this one. I kind of bounced back and forth between the Ravens and Bengals, who was going to win the division overall, and I just kept looking back and forth. I like the Bengals' offense better. They definitely vastly improved that offensive line yet again for the second straight year. Bring in Alex Kappa at right guard. They bring in Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle, and then they swing Jonah to the right tackle spot. So they vastly improved this offensive line yet again. And also you piece it with Jamar Chase and all those other weapons with Joe Mixon in the backfield and whatnot. You gotta like the Bengals offense really, really good this year. And then on defense, there's a little bit of holes for me. Like, the front seven for the Bengals is locked down, is extremely tough to beat. But the secondary, that's kind of where I look at, where I can see two corners that are potentially going to start for the Bengals, where I'm just like, they don't strike fear in me. I feel like I can attack them and I'm going to be fine, especially knowing that the Bengals play a predominant zone defense. The Ravens, on the other hand, you look at their defense, and good Lord, like secondary, linebacking core, defensive line presence, all stout, all really good. And then you look at their offense and you're like, we don't know what that offense is going to be. Is it going to still be the traditional running heavy style offense that it has been in years past? Or is it going to be more of a balanced, little bit change of pace type of offense with all these added weapons now that they have? So you got guys like Isaiah Likely that isn't really being talked about, but was a threat last year when Mark Andrews left a few games due to injury. Now you bring in Odell. You mix him up with the other younger wide receivers that you have in Devin Duvernay, and Rashad Bateman, and it makes me wonder, like, what exactly are we going to see in Baltimore? Is this going to be more of a balanced style offense where Lamar is finally going to break out of his shell? And he's not going to be asked just to run or do these little gimmicky plays. Now he's going to be asked, hey, now we're going to treat you like a real quarterback. You can still take off and run, but now we're going to do play action. We're going to have you set up in the pocket to throw the ball and distribute it. So that's going to be interesting to see. But that all being said, I gave the edge to the Ravens to win the division. And just because based off of how much I love their defense, I feel like that alone is going to give them the upper hand in this division. Then I have the Bengals right nipping at their heels. After that, the Browns and the Steelers are interesting franchises. The Browns, because Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had a terrible year. We kind of figured that's what was going to happen with the rust and everything. But now you look at this Browns, the defense looks really solid. The offensive line is solid. The weapons he has at his disposal with Amari Cooper and David Njoku, Nick Chubb in the back. You know what I mean? Like, we know that they have all these weapons and the defense is stout. But Deshaun Watson, he's going to be the question mark this year. The Browns will do as well as Deshaun Watson does. So if he comes back and he's anything close to what he was in the years when he was with the Texans, then they have themselves a real team, and they could definitely push up for the leader of this division as well. But I have them finishing third just because he's a big question mark still. After that, I got the Steelers finishing. And some people might be upset with this, having the Steelers last in this division, but I kind of think listen, the Steelers aren't ready yet. They're not ready to take this division over once like they used to. They got some great young pieces, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, and then defensively, they're always going to have a rock solid defense. But I feel like until they get additional weaponry on the offense, and I'm not thrilled about their offensive line. They didn't really do much to capitalize in those positions to make that better for Pickett and company. Najee Harris is healthy once again, so that's definitely going to be good for them. But that, to me, is the reason why I have them kind of knocked down to the fourth spot, is because I feel like the offensive line play isn't going to be up to the level it needs to be. And that's kind of going to hold back the Steelers just a little bit, and I have them finishing fourth.
All right. Yeah, I would think I'm going to be in agreement with you, too, here because, again, we got to see what the Ravens were able to backdoor it into the playoffs last year. And if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson just sitting out because of his injury here throughout the playoffs, we would maybe see them really make a push against the Cincinnati Bengals to see what they really can do at full force. One question you always had, hey, can he throw the ball? At times you saw he was able to throw it, but he didn't have any weapons. So what do? They go out and get the weapons, like you said.
Yep.
So, and then now new offense coordinator, just like you said.
Todd
now
Monken.
So what are we going to see? Are we going to be able to see him use the weapons? You would hope so. And what you're seeing out of it so far in camp and what Odell Beckham Jr. is doing, and even taking out some of these other receivers and being like that veteran presence and helping them out and helping them learning some more routes and things like that. A real teammate. I think that's going to be crucial here for this team to have even a player like that and a go-to guy like that. He didn't have that before, even when he had Hollywood Brown.
No.
He ain't no Odell Beckham Jr.
Not a true number one.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's big for him there. Cincinnati Bengals, like you said, too, secondary, you lose a little bit. And even the fact that they're not able to hold on to, like a Jesse Bates, too, anymore. That's big for them in the backfield. So I'm feeling you on that one, too. I think it's going to be between those two, just like you said, and a knockout punch here with these guys. Cleveland Browns, again, it's skittish. I don't know if Deshaun Watson will ever be that guy that we would have known. You take a year or so off, deal with all the other stuff, in your personal life, and you come and give it a go, last year, a little rough. You would hope he'd do better, but you don't know. Kenny Pickett still coming into his own, working with the Steelers team. They look so good, pretty good so far in the offseason. We'll see what they do moving forward. I got them finishing ahead of the Cleveland Browns, but so for me, it's going to be the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, and then the Browns. All right, we got some comments.
Nathaniel, he just chimes in. He goes, he has the Ravens in the last spot.
Ooh.
He's got the Steelers third, Browns second, and the Bengals first. That being said, I really like Baltimore. I like it.
Are you kidding me? Oh,
he dropped a John Turner on us.
Oh, he did. That being said,
Mike Tackett
really like Baltimore.
Mike Tackett just came in. He goes, which playoff team is on thinnest ice? I think Cincinnati is one torn ACL away from becoming the 90s Bengals. I also think if A-Rod goes down, so does New York. He thinks Rodgers. He's talking Rodgers. Too.
Yeah. For me, I think,
which playoff team? Now, when we talk about playoff team, it's a whole new year. So we technically don't know who is going to be.
Let me tell you,
we're talking about
right now. Joe Burrow
last year?
is a little banged up, but you know what? I think, like Mike Tackett or Nathaniel answers. Mike Tackett says the Bills are on thinnest ice. Now, say if their quarterback goes down, is that the basic scenario?
That would be the scenario for anybody. Like, think about it. You lose your starter in any given season, you're screwed. Like, there's no backup that's going to reach that level of play, comparable to your starter. You just lose so much in that aspect. So if Josh Allen goes down, if Rodgers goes down, if Tua goes down, all those teams are screwed. So any team that loses their starter, they're definitely...
we've seen it. Like I just mentioned the Baltimore Ravens. They coasted into the playoffs, and they don't have Lamar Jackson, and there you go.
It definitely took away from them.
That was it. That was your whole game plan.
It definitely took away from them.
So I think Tell you the truth, if you put those two scenarios, I think the Bengals are on the thinnest ice there just because of the impact that Joe Burrow has with that team. And I feel like the Jets, they were able to play well even with, Zach Wilson back there, at times, stuff like that. And I think being behind Aaron Rodgers and learning more things, he's become more humble and things like that. And he's able to utilize his legs and make some of the plays that he does. We got to see it in the preseason so far. And that made him change his whole attitude and possibly maybe change the whole outlook of his teammates on him, because he's the one that kind of turned on his teammates and they didn't like him. So you lost the locker room. So maybe him learning from Rodgers and things like that too as well, it helped that locker room ease a little bit too if he had to take over the spot. But like you said, any team losing a team like that, done for. I think for me, some of these teams, you would talk about thin ice, you got to talk about something like with teams that are on the last year of like a head coach's tenure, possibly that's on the hot seat.
What about the Chargers? The Chargers, too. I mean, you think about it, the last 3 years, we've looked at the Chargers as a favorite to possibly win the AFC West and debunk the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You look at the roster, the last couple of years, it looks amazing on paper. Like, defensively, it looks like they should have a shutdown secondary, a great linebacking core. Joey Bosa and the rest of the group on the D-line always chasing after you and getting after you. On paper, their defense looks stellar. It looks top 10, maybe even top 5. And then offensively, they have weapons. They have one of the best offensive lines, and they still can't get the job done. They have Austin Eckler in the backfield. Herbert, who is supposed to be the savior of LA for the Chargers, and where have they gotten? A playoff berth at one point and knocked out? Like, they haven't really done anything with all this talent that they have. I think the head coach is on the hot seat this year. I think he's failed enough to the point where this is your third year, and if you don't make a big push deep into the playoffs, if you don't win the division, if you don't make it a strong, considerable effort to get to that Super Bowl, then I'm sorry, but I think the Chargers might be in trouble. Their head coach might be in trouble. He might have to find a new job after this year.
All right, Mike Tackett says Kurt Warner has entered the chat.
Kurt Warner, unless that is a tremendous rarity. Like, you want to throw Kurt Warner in there, that does not happen. Like, let's be honest about that. Kurt Warner doesn't. It's hard to find guys packing groceries and just bring them to the NFL and watch them light up the football
Nathaniel
field.
says, I have the Ravens 11-6.
What?
And they finished last in the division and 0-6 in their division. Wow.
Wait a second.
How
can you be 11-6 and be last in your division?
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. Like, we've seen tight divisions before, and I don't think the last place has been 11-6.
I appreciate
that. Would be amazing, though.
It would be.
If anything, we do see it this year.
I'll tell you what, Nathaniel, if that actually happens, we're going to have you on the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have to put him on the show. Because that is like the Nostradamus move of all moves.
This guy predicted this.
There you go.
And it happened.
All right, and then was that Mike Tackett that agrees with you on? There's Nathaniel.
Nathaniel said, I agree with the Chargers because it all depends on coaching. That is how I feel about Buffalo. Well, I mean, I'll say this. It's not like I'm saying he's a bad coach or the coaching staff is bad for the Chargers. Mm-hmm. They actually have a good coaching staff. Same thing with Buffalo. McDermott and company, like McDermott is the defensive mind. Like, that's where he excels. And the coaching staff, I feel like they've done a pretty darn good job with assembling that team, with getting it to where it is. It's just now they're at a point, just like the Chargers, they're at a point where you're expected to win. And now you're expected to not just win, you're expected to win and get into the playoffs and push for that Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And unless you've been able to do that, your ass is on fire. You're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, in thin ice, you could say if we knew that your team wasn't investing all into McDaniels, you could even say Josh McDaniels because of what's been going on with that team. But I would say even at this point, why not the 49ers on thin ice? Because of the general manager type of decisions that they've made. They've been poised and ready to win and the questions around the quarterback. So say if Purdy's unable to play again, say he goes down, now you have Sam Darnold in the house here to try and lead you to the Super Bowl again. So you get to the playoffs once again with that great defense that you have together. You have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, Deebo Samuel. We know all the talent that you have.
The offense is amazing, though, too.
It is. But you didn't get the quarterback right. Or at least maybe you did, but maybe he goes down again, and then there you go. You're on thin ice. So what are you going to do? So I'd say the 49ers could possibly be in thin ice in that situation too, and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch.
That to me is a little bit harder of a pill to swallow because of their recent success. And for them to draft Trey Lance, get that pick wrong, obviously, now he's traded and moved to the Cowboys, but they found Purdy. Like, that's the thing is they found Purdy. They found an answer again. And John Lynch, with all the moves that they've done, it's gotten them to this point where they're seen as one of these predominant teams and tough outs. Teams struggle against them. They're so good right now where when the GM, if he fails to produce a roster that's capable of winning, that's when GMs kind of get the finger pointed at him. But like, hey, well, you didn't help me build this roster up good enough, so it's your fault. Where I don't think you can say that about John Lynch. I think he's made a lot of good decisions as a GM to assemble this roster that they have now to get them into their winning ways along with the coaching staff. So the 49ers, they are one of those deadly teams, and I can't wait to see what unveils this season with them.
Mike Tackett, did you take the bus or did you drive? And then I think he does the
tank for Caleb.
Shake my head. Is that what that is?
Said tank
Hashtag
for Caleb.
Tank for Caleb. Yeah. There you go. Mike Tackett in the house with us. He's got the comments on lockdown and also the scenarios, Joe. We love it.
Yeah. What was Nathaniel also said? He goes, I don't think Ravens win a game in their division at all this year. Okay.
So he thinks against any of those teams.
11-6 though, you're going to be higher in the division. I can't imagine, even if that's true, even if they do lose those, like 11-6, like that's not something to shake your head about. I still don't see them finishing last.
Right.
But no, we do appreciate your comments. We do appreciate everything that you're commenting. Thank you, Mike Tackett, for always being an OG know-it-all.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it.
All right, so AFC South, Joe, we're taking a look ahead, and we got the Texans, the Colts, the Jaguars were that surprise team last year. The Titans still up there in the front, too. What do you think?
So the South, this kind of was a little easier for me. Rightfully so. Jaguars all the way. I mean, listen, they got all the momentum right now. They got everybody returning healthy. They've managed to make some upgrades here and there. The receiving core looks pretty darn legit. I like what I see from the offense and defensively. We thought last year they were going to show up, and they did. But when you look at this roster, they are so young. It's crazy. Like they got to be one of the youngest teams in football. And I think they continue that winning trend after the playoffs. Now they're going to go and take this division this year once again. Titans, I have them finishing second behind them. And not because I feel like the Titans are going to be the second best team in this division necessarily, but I feel like they're one of those veteran teams. They have a lot of vets at their disposal. They know how to win. They're a hard grinding team, and I feel like they're going to hang around and to be in second place with Derrick Henry and company. After that, this is where it gets a little dicey. I ended up putting the Texans at 3 and the Colts dead last, and both teams have rookie quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So there's that aspect where you don't know how good either one is going to perform in real live situation. We know that even some of the greats that were rookies struggled their whole entire year. Mm-hmm. So I think the Texans, based on roster, I think they have the most complete roster over the Colts. And there's question marks with the Colts. Anthony Richardson coming out of college. We thought that he should have stayed one more year to develop. He comes out. Now he's the starter. And this guy struggles with accuracy. Got tremendous athletic ability, but struggles with accuracy, which might lead to turnovers. And you have a Colts offensive line that is still in much need of help. The tackles aren't anything still. They still haven't upgraded those positions. So I feel like that's going to still hinder them And then defensively, they got a good D-line. But other than that, I feel like in their scheme, their zone scheme that they utilize, it's almost like they let you catch the ball before they come and tackle you, which I don't think is going to amount to many wins. The Texans, I just kind of like their overall roster a little bit better, even though they also have a rookie quarterback. I think that they might actually just wind up with a couple more wins than the Colts do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, it's pretty between the top two, like you're talking about here. Titans always find a way to get it done here at the end. But Jacksonville Jaguars, they were a good story last year, and Doug Peterson seems like he's unlocked, Trevor Lawrence here and got it going. And now he's got the additional weapon here in Calvin Ridley. I think Ridley will do well. I don't know if he's going to blow it up like a lot of people are really predicting right now and getting out of their freaking minds about Calvin Ridley. Yeah, remember he had some time off and time away. Mm-hmm. But I think he looks good so far in camp. So
it's a little easier playing receiver to come back.
I think they're going to do well here, and that they've got it geared going forward. And I think I'm going to ride the hot hand too with you. I'm going to say Jacksonville on top here. Titans going to be in there in the punch here with it all. The addition of DeAndre Hopkins is big for them. Mm-hmm. But besides that, they're going to be a ground and pound type of team, and move forward here with the DeAndre Hopkins here. But after that, it is tough. And you look at the Colts. Right. Colts roster not very good either as well. You're looking at even, me, I like wide receiver depth. I don't see any wide receiver depth here at all either. So you don't really help out, an Anthony Richardson, stuff like that.
They got Alec Pierce, which is a nice up-and-coming receiver, nice, but only one other.
Here too. But again, you're trying to, you always try and say, hey, veteran number one guy, what are you going to have here? And I really don't see that here so far, at least with this team. And then the fact that you don't have a Jonathan Taylor here for you and stuff. You got your Zach Moss and
he'll be back,
guys
though.
There. He will eventually, but they're damaged here. So
week 5, I think, is when you expect Taylor to come back. But by week 5, they're already probably 0-4.
Right. So, I'm going to be with you on that one, too. So, I like the Texans here over top of them, and the Colts are going to be dead last here. All right, we've got Nathaniel. What does he
goes,
say?
My AFC South rankings go as follows. Jaguars at 1. He's got even the records. 11-6. The Jaguars will go 11-6.
He did more homework than I did.
The Titans will be 7-10 and be second. Colts will be 5-12 and be third, and the Texans, I have them at 0-17 and don't see how they can get higher than 2-15.
Okay.
All right.
Let me get this, though. Let me ask this one question, okay? I just have to ask this right away.
Yes, go for it.
You have every team in the AFC North
Yeah.
with more than 12 or 11 wins.
Yep, 11 wins and more.
But you have the Jacksonville Jaguars going 11-6 in this division.
And everybody else losing a lot.
Who else is losing in this whole thing? Have you gone through and played out the scenario in the in the brackets thing when you go to do these picks and stuff like that, to where mathematically this all makes sense, or are you just coming up with numbers and records out of nowhere? I mean, because is this mathematically possible? You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
we like to say, hey, they can go 500, they could go 11-6, but when you look at it all, somebody else has got to lose on the other end stuff. And mathematically, if you don't get it down right, then it makes no sense at all.
I mean, honestly, I could see the Titans going like either 9-8 or 10-7, maybe. Like, I could see them doing that, having a little bit of a winning
But again, if you look at that schedule, who on that other end is losing those games? And so then it's somebody's got to have some, losses here and there. So is it the NFC teams or some of the other AFC teams that are just going to be hot garbage? Because you've already got right there between those two divisions, you already got, 5 teams that are already above 11 wins, which is right. You haven't even counted the Chiefs yet or the Chargers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
Out there. Then you have to do every single one.
What do you have for the Bills or the Jets? If you have them with over 11 wins again, too, then you're just telling me that the NFC is just hot garbage. Then they beat every NFC team then or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
never know.
It out there.
You never know.
I'm just saying, realistically.
It still could happen that way.
I'm not really great at math, but I'm just saying, some of these numbers don't look right. But all right.
I think that the scenario of this division going like 0 for a lot more than winning, I think that's kind of pushing it. I kind of agree with like maybe the Colts losing that many games. Maybe they win 5. I don't agree with the
With
Texans losing every single game, though.
No, I don't think
I
so.
understand. I
Because then
understand
you're
his
saying
point.
They're the worst team in the NFL.
Because to be honest with you, I have more faith in. Is it Stroud that's at the Texans? Yes, I think so. I have more confidence in C.J. Stroud than I do Anthony Richardson this year, as just playing quarterback. So I don't know. Like, we'll see how it all plays out, but I think when you go from one extreme to where one division's winning a lot of games altogether, and then the next division that we talk about is basically like everyone's going to lose except for the Jags. I don't know. That's kind of pushing it. It's not that it won't happen. It's just that it's a rarity for something that extreme to happen.
What does he say? What does he say? The Tennessee Titans record is going to be?
He said, I wrote every schedule down
He did.
on
He did
notebook paper and gave my predictions for each team
there you go.
on paper. There you
Then
go.
he did
He's
then.
got all the math down. He's got the records down.
There you
So
go.
he is on top of it.
He's on it. Okay. Yeah, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens, and that's the thing. If he gets these predictions right, like you said, he's happy to come on the show, right, Joe? I mean, because he's got it. He did the math. He did the homework.
You'll come on the show, right? If all this happens, correct?
There you go. He's down. All right. So that's what we got. The AFC West here, Joe. What do you got with this one here? I know week one we're not going to have a Travis Kelce here on this team.
No,
but
no
I think
Kels. Yep.
everybody's now looking at that Detroit Lions team, in this week one matchup, saying, "Hey, this looks."
Some people are
looks
like
tasty right here. But what's funny is I think
Yeah.
Vegas, the line only dropped by half a point. So you're telling me no Travis Kelce only ends up equaling a half a point?
Vegas has something up their sleeves, man. They have something up their sleeves. They know something that we don't.
It's gonna be a game time decision, and all of a sudden he's gonna play.
No,
They're
it's
gonna
not.
everybody's gonna go. Oh.
You'll see that tomorrow afternoon. I think is when they'll release the injury report.
Injury report, yeah.
Where he'll be out or in, whatever. But no, AFC West. This is another like tough division where there are some teams that are still kind of in their winning ways, like the Chiefs, like the Chargers. They should be winning. The Broncos are interesting because they have a new coaching staff and Sean Payton as the head coach. Can he turn Russell Wilson around? If anybody can, he's the guy. But also with the Broncos, no Jerry Jeudy. He's going to be down for some time with injuries, and until he returns, I don't think we're going to get the full performance in this offense. Like I feel like that's going to kind of hinder them a little bit, missing Jerry Jeudy. So, like the Chiefs missing a key player, the Broncos are also. In the AFC West, I kind of went with a little bit of a wild card. I'm like, we talked about earlier how the Chargers need to win, how the coaching staff is on the hot seat this year, and I think this is the year where they either got to make something happen or not. And I feel like this year in particular, where we've seen the Chiefs, we talked about them, in last week's episode, the roster's different. No more Mecole Hardman. So who's their deep threat? It's really Valdez-Scantling, and that's it. So if you got Sky Moore, you got Kadarius Toney, who's once again, a little beat up. He might not play this week. So that to me hinders you a lot. So does that change it enough? Possibly. I like what the Chargers have done. They brought in Eric Kendricks from the Minnesota Vikings to play middle linebacker for them. And like I said before, the defense on paper looks stellar. It looks amazing. It could be a top 5 defense. Will it be? Who knows? And then their offense is stellar. So I got the Chargers actually for the first time in a long time dethroning the Chiefs in the AFC West, winning the West, and the Chiefs follow right behind them in second place. And that's kind of what I have because the Chiefs' dynamic is a little bit different. And I know they've done Andy Reid and company have done a tremendous job of, evolving the offense despite the loss of a player or two or whatever. They've managed to be able to overcome those situations. So just because of coaching, they're still going to be right there in the hunt. But I got Chiefs finishing second. I got the Broncos third, just based off of coaching. I do not think the Broncos have a better roster than the Raiders, but I think the coaching might separate them enough to where the Broncos finish third. And the Raiders, I just think, honestly, they changed way too much for a team that a lot of people expected to be in the playoff hunt last year. And then for them to change, they get rid of their franchise quarterback, they get rid of their all-pro tight end, and they manage to piece some other guys and bring them in, and you're hoping for the same result. New quarterback now, you got Jimmy G. Their defense has always statistically been pretty bad, been pretty terrible. And have you done enough to improve that? I'm not really sure. Pile of shit. So I got the Raiders finishing last. And quite honestly, I think the Raiders, by the end of this whole thing, are going to be competing for the number 1 overall pick.
Ooh, there you go. There's a hot take, huh? Yeah, looking at this division again, I can't, blame you for going with the Chargers here again. They've been poised. Now they've got Kellen Moore here for the offensive coordinator spot. I think that's a great pickup for them, too. Mm-hmm. They just need to get over the hump, and this is what we've been asking for.
The head coach.
Yes.
Stop going for it.
Yes. As we've said it a billion times. In Kansas City, again, trying to stretch it on this far to try and keep winning multiple, Super Bowls and stuff like that, it's tough.
It's very tough.
We've tried to see some of these, dynasties happen. We've seen it before. Somehow they're always still make it here at the end, but who knows? Again, Travis Kelce getting an injury down. He's getting older, too, and he is your key weapon. Besides that, again, you got nothing. But Patrick Mahomes can do a lot with a whole lot of nothing. Look at that Super Bowl where he was losing wide receivers left and right, too, as well, to where Sky Moore, where we actually started to see something out of him because he hasn't really done anything.
No, he hasn't. No. And honestly, he's a glorified number 2.
Yeah.
At best.
That's very glorified, So, and again, and then the rest, you got, some former Giants players. So, I could see them
which
still
aren't
doing
even
well.
Starting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they do well here. I'm going to go with you on 2 and say, hey, let's say it. Let's say the Chargers go with this on and take the division finally this time. They finally get it right here. The Chiefs, again, their defense just can't keep up with some of these other guys. And, they've been doing enough, but it's been all Chris Jones, and he's holding out for a little while now, too. And you hold out for so long, and then eventually, if you do even come back, you're going to be a little off. And
rusty.
You don't have somebody else to help you out on the other end when they've tried to bring in those Frank Clarks and things like that to try and, take up some of those double teams.
Well, that's the thing, too, is that Chris Jones, not only will he be rusty, he'll be out of football shape. Mm-hmm. When he comes back, he'll only be able to have to spell every so often. And also, the Chiefs lost more defensive players this year. Yep. They lost a couple of defensive linemen that went to, I believe, the Saints and what have you. And then Frank Clark that you just mentioned, he's gone. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're seeing Tyrann Mathieu leave. He went to the Saints 2 years ago. Yep. Now it seems like as the pieces fall away, I don't necessarily think they're doing I can't say they're doing a bad job, but I don't think they're doing an adequate job at replacing those cornerstone pieces that they once had. Mm-hmm. Just like you mentioned, the corners right now, they don't scare anybody. Mm-hmm. L'Jarius Sneed's decent, but is he locked down? No. Mm-hmm. So, and likewise for the rest of the secondary. Yeah, absolutely. And again, you talk about coaching, and we got to say it, Sean Payton, better coach than Josh McDaniels. Everybody knows that he has. 100%. Yeah, he has 100%. The proof. You know what I mean? He's done things with quarterbacks before, and he's creative. Russell Wilson isn't like a deadbeat quarterback he's trying to revive out of somewhere. He's a former Super Bowl winning quarterback. Right. You know what I mean? Almost 2-time champion. Mm-hmm. And it just... Dan Pete Carroll. And he's probably one of the most hit, quarterbacks out there. So he still has the scrambling, ability too as well, but still be able to hit you on that big play too. And I think Cortland Sutton can do it enough for him here too. And Marvin Mims Jr. too on the other side. Let's see what this kid can do. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's see what happens. But still, when you put it side to side, I like what's trending with that team better than what's trending with your Raiders here and what's going on with Josh McDaniels. I think he's just going to just ruin that franchise. He's already done that. He's already. I mean, listen. You even see it now. Even what's going on with Chandler Jones too, as well, and stuff like that. Issues with that. Right. Nobody wants to play for the guy. They would rather have Patrick Graham here as their head coach. It's been reported that a lot of players, I'm talking like former players, even on the Patriots, and then up to now, it's been reported that a lot of players, whoever have been coached by Josh McDaniels, they have a great dislike for the man. He's not a player's coach by far. He's not a guy that will listen to you as a player, and it has shown. That's why we saw the rift between Derek Carr and him at times during games, where they just didn't see eye to eye. Well, What happens when you don't see eye to eye with Josh McDaniels? He ships you out. Darren Waller, same thing. He didn't see eye to eye with him. He shipped him out, went to the Giants. Like, if you don't fall in line, he's like, oh, well, I rule with an iron fist, and we're just going to move on from you completely. But when you do that, you're taking away cornerstones of your team and giving them away. And what are you doing with that? You're trying to insert a rookie here, a free agent there, and you're trying to make something happen still? I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep.
Raiders, Nathaniel McQuirt says, Raiders 5-12. I say nay. I say they lose more games than that.
Nice. And he says also, he gives his predictions here. He says he has the Chiefs winning the division, and he gave the Chiefs a 14-3. However, I would not be shocked if they lose tomorrow.
He has the Chiefs winning 14-3?
14-3.
Really?
And he gave the Chargers 11-6 and the Broncos 7-10. However, outside of the 49ers and Seahawks, I do not feel comfortable with the picks I gave for those teams.
I will say this, like the Chiefs, if you're going off of the Chiefs team that was originally put together with Tyreek Hill and them, yeah, sure, 14-3 sounds right. But not with this team, not with this roster. I don't see them being that impactful. I definitely like the Chargers being up there, but I think that the Chiefs are in for a rougher season than normal. I still think they're going to win a lot of games. I still think they're going to compete for this division, but I don't see them kind of like them stepping on the gas pedal and not letting up all the way through the season.
You want to talk about a team that's on thin ice too as well. You could just as easily say the Chiefs.
Yes.
If Mahomes goes down,
yeah, but that's a starter,
but again, like
right?
we talked about, starter. But even we're talking about when they don't have the depth at wide receiver and things like that too. On top of it, he's the one that makes it happen. You know what I'm saying? He's the one.
The
that
real
helps
key.
get it done.
I feel like this is going to be what defenses try to key on against the Chiefs, and we know that it's not an easy offense to attack. But with Isaiah Pacheco at their running back, they do like to utilize him a lot, and if you're able to shut him down and make the Chiefs one-dimensional, make Mahomes always have the ball in his hand, always have to maybe throw the ball or make something happen, you might end up getting him to slip up here and there and make a mistake. Because we've seen it happen before. If they're not able to run the ball, if they're not able to move it on the ground, then it's in Mahomes' hand a lot more often, and you don't have a bailout receiver like Tyreek Hill used to be for them. So I think that could lead to the Chiefs, a little bit, tripping over themselves a little bit throughout the season. But we'll have to wait and see, man. I mean, this is going to be a very competitive year after all. Nathaniel also says, he goes, Eagles, Bills, and Bengals are the 3 games that the Chiefs lose. I mean, yeah, that's all possible.
Yeah,
but I think they lose more than that. They lost more than that last year.
Yeah,
and I think that this year their team isn't as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, didn't they even lose to? Did they lose to the Colts last year? I know they lost.
Yes,
to
they got upset. They got upset by the Colts. That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
I say this:
you never know.
The one thing that they have working for them on defense, their linebacking core is amazing, like insane. Willie Gay.
Yeah.
I mean, Bolton. Like those guys they're animals, sideline to sideline.
All right, Joe, let's get to it. Let's get to the NFC side. On my side now, it's got to be the side that Nathaniel thinks sucks. Because again, you're looking at these AFC records, and I mean, and that's what I'm saying. You say some of them have losing, records, but not really. They're around 500, a little under. So he's got to say that the NFC is going to blow. All right, so here we go. The Dallas Cowboys, Giants, Philadelphia Eagles. Washington Commanders, Joe. What do you got for here? The NFC East.
So for the East, this kind of was like easy to pick the winner, the division winner. Like let's face it, the Eagles haven't gotten weaker; they've gotten stronger in this past offseason. In the draft, they killed it. They grabbed best player available easily, and not just one, not just two, probably 3 legitimate starters that could start for them this year. I think the Eagles defense got so much better, and their offense, we already know how explosive that was. They almost pulled off the Super Bowl, and they got better. So no weaknesses on the offensive line, no weaknesses on defense, on offense, what have you. They got to easily be the winner. So they're going to look to come back and take over that division. After that, it's anybody's game. You just made the list. I looked at the Giants. I looked at the Cowboys. Even Washington with Sam Howell leading them. The real hard thing is to decide whether it's Giants or Cowboys in the second spot for me. I gave the edge to the Giants, and I'll tell you why. Because the Giants gave the Cowboys problems last year with no receivers, with a beat-up offensive line. You know what I mean? And all they really had was Daniel Jones and Saquon to try to make something happen. And defensively, when they faced the Cowboys later in the year, they were a little bit banged up. You know, and I feel like now that they've had a full offseason to heal up, get back, get right, and make improvements on the offensive line, to make improvements in the receiving core. Now they actually have some receivers to throw to. The tight ends, like with Waller coming over. I really like what they've done in the offseason as far as a team and a roster of personnel that they've managed to put together. That I feel like that's going to give them the edge over the Cowboys this year. So I got the Giants finishing second in this division. And for the Cowboys, I got them finishing third. I got the Cowboys finishing third because after looking at their roster again, their offensive line isn't as bad as it seems. I think that their offensive line is going to do pretty darn well. The only question mark, obviously, is that left tackle with Tyron Smith. How long can he stay healthy? We know he's older. He's at the end of his years in the NFL, and it seems like every single year now he's getting injured and leaving a hole there. So definitely the Cowboys have a lot of weapons. They got Dak Prescott at the quarterback. Defensively, they're pretty okay. Mm-hmm. They missed some pieces at the safety position. They got Stephon Gilmore coming over from the Colts. He's going to help with the opposite side of Trayvon Diggs, which I think enhances their secondary. But overall, I think that's kind of where they're going to stick as third. And then last but not least, Washington. Sam Howell, I like him. I like the direction they're going with. They're allowing their younger players to play. And the only thing that I have an issue with is their offensive line. Their offensive line in the interior is very weak. And just because of that, I'm not sure how much they're going to pass protect for Sam Howell. I'm not sure how often they're going to be able to create a running lane for Brian Robinson Jr. They got plenty of weapons to throw the ball to, and defensively, on paper, once again, their D-line is tremendous. It's almost like they have a potential all-pro at every position there, all four spots there. After that, it gets a little questionable. Linebackers, they're okay. Secondary, couple of corners are good, but after that, it's like, they're all right. So I feel like Washington is one of those question marks. They're getting there as a team, but they're not ready to really push to get a lot of wins this year.
All right, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi in the house with us tonight.
Oh, boy.
Joe, he's back.
Obi-Wan is back.
He's there, and he says the Raiders 6-11.
Oh, boy.
And he's crying about it. We got Nathaniel in the house,
that's
too.
generous.
Yeah. All right, Nathaniel, what does he say, Joe? What does he got here?
He says, to answer your question about AFC East, I have the Bills 12-5, Jets with the same record. Okay, so
Jets and Dolphins same record, 6-11.
So do you have the
Patriots
Jets
with 3-13
with the edge, or do you have Bills with the edge? Then, if they have the same record, Dolphins 6-11, and gave the Patriots last with 3-13. Ooh, ouch! Record. I really don't like the New England Patriots schedule. And then Obi-Wan says, "Hello there."
Hello there. You know,
What's
again,
going on,
it
Obi-Wan?
still bothers me because, again, he's saying, look at the records of the AFC teams. He must say that they're going to beat every single NFC team that they play. Because the worst records that some of these AFC teams have is like 3-13 or 6-11.
I mean, the most that you play is 4, and then you have those like 3 games that they handpick randomly on your schedule.
Oh.
So if you're saying that the AFC teams are going to beat the 4 teams that they play,
yeah,
in the NFC,
maybe.
and then you have those 3 random ones. It could be AFC, could be NFC.
Maybe that's the ones that they.
So it's a little random.
The only ones that the NFC teams lose. Then who knows?
He also just said, he goes, Eagles first with a 14-3 record. Dallas 12-5. Commanders and Giants 7-9. Commanders win the latter game.
Are you smoking something here, Nathaniel? Like, seriously.
And
like,
then Nathaniel said Bills with the edge. So he has
Bills with the edge on
yeah.
that one when the Jets are tied with them.
Okay.
Man,
I don't
that's
know,
tough.
man.
Because again, how do you get the edge?
I feel like a
How
lot
would
of
it be? Because if they split games, let's say if they did this, say they split game, each of them won a game, and he has the edge on it. So he would say maybe Bills take both games, possibly. Because if you don't, then you got to go. How do they judge it? Do they judge it by points scored throughout the year? I think
it's based on strength of schedule.
Strength of schedule.
So whatever your record was against the rest of the league.
Yeah,
I want what he's having. Obi-Wan just stated that.
Winners don't use drugs.
I'll say. I don't know, whatever. He's making the bold predictions, Joe, and he's all about it. He wants to be on the show, absolutely.
I like it.
But yeah, when you look at this division again, this division has got some of the hardest schedules this year.
Right.
So it's gonna be tough for them. So we'll see what the win point schedule is going to be out of these guys here too, because they have a rough road.
Right.
Philadelphia, again, they're the better of the teams. They're ready. They should have probably won last year. They're going to make a chance to go back again this year because they're just basically locked and loaded and added a little more talent. The Giants, I think, have really made a turn for the better. The Cowboys, again, where the Giants lacked when they played them was always stopping the run. Now you don't really have the 1-2 punch Tony Pollard on his own, but the offense, again, we've talked about it before in our previews. I'm not scared about the Mike McCarthy offense, and I don't think they're going to run the ball really that much. So if that was the flaw of the Giants, I think it plays into the blitz then that they're going to be throwing at Dak Prescott and asking him to get rid of the ball quickly. And Mike McCarthy is going to ask him to run deep streak routes and things like that all the time, and it's not going to work out properly for him. So I think I'm going to give the better hand to the Giants on this one. And then the Cowboys and the Commanders, they're feeling it out. I'm not as high on the Commanders
they're still getting there.
as Nathaniel is as high. And I don't know. I think Commanders, they are in a spot where, with new ownership as well, that they are ready to walk away from a Ron Rivera if they've got it here and go on to an Eric Bieniemy possibly. And change into that.
Honestly, that's the thing is whenever ownership changes, a lot of things change. There's already talks about them maybe even changing the colors of the team again and changing the name once again. And then you get to the coaching staff like Ron Rivera. That's not the guy he hired. So he has by no means any ties to Ron Rivera. He's going to wait and see how this plays out, obviously because the sale of the team happened so close to the beginning of the season that you can't turn right now and try to find a new coach. So I think it's going to be like a wait-and-see approach with the ownership. They're going to wait and see how Washington plays. Do they play hard? Are they close in the games? You know what I mean? Even if they let's just say even if they go winless, like it's going to say, okay, the record was terrible, but the team never gave up. The team was always playing hard for the coach. The team was always in the games, but they just fell short. So if that happens, they'll probably give Ron Rivera another year to see what he can do with more additions or even another draft. So Washington is still rebuilding. Bottom line, that's really what it is. Like they have some nice pieces on offense. They definitely got to upgrade that offensive line somehow in the next offseason. But let's see what Sam Howell can do throughout the season. We've seen him in a limited amount of time. Now let's see when defenses are always scheming against you every single week. Can you still progress? Can you still develop? Obi-Wan says John Gruden can get the head coaching job. True, only after the court case. After all that's taken care of, he's fighting for his life right now in the courtroom against NFL and Roger Goodell. And things are looking up for Gruden as of this moment.
Yet to see all that unfold. I can't wait for that. That's going to be better than
here's the
Amber
thing.
Heard versus Johnny Depp, I think.
They're trying right now. The NFL is trying so hard to get it, to not go to court. They're trying everything they can, but it's not working so far. So hopefully it doesn't, because if it goes to court, guess what becomes public record? All those 650,000 emails that they didn't disclose. Except for Gruden's email. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe after it's all said and done, Goodell gets fired. Gruden comes back and coaches once again, and we'll see how it all shakes down. Nathaniel says, I really like Sam Howell. Yeah, I mean, he's got potential. I mean, let's see what he can do this year.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the NFC North here, Joe. The Bears, the Lions, Packers, Vikings. What do you got here on this one?
This one, I don't know.
Yeah.
This one is another tough one for me. I'm looking at the rosters and everything, and I'm trying to like get an idea. Like, okay, if everybody stayed healthy for this season, just like how I handled the other divisions, I'm like, well, who really has the advantage here? I love what the Bears did this offseason in terms of the draft and how they made a trade. They got DJ Moore, a number one wide receiver on that team, to go along with Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool. You know, they got Cole Kmet to distribute the ball to. Justin Fields, we definitely know he can run. That's for sure. And their offensive line got vastly improved. And that was a very big hole of theirs last year. So they improved that. The offense looks the part. I just don't know how much better Fields can play as a quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Defensively, though, for the Bears, they're pretty solid. Like, I thought they would have a lot more holes this upcoming year, but they managed to replace them with guys like Tremaine Edmonds. They managed to replace him with TJ Edwards coming over from Philly at linebacker. So they filled those holes, and they improved everything else. They got a pretty darn solid roster. The Lions are one of those fan favorite teams that they improved their team. They're a hard, gritty team as of last season. They play extremely tough for their coach, and they're in every single game. And quite honestly, there was a couple of games where they upset other teams. So I feel like now coming into this season, they added some upgrades with Jack Campbell from a rookie linebacker coming out of college who's going to hold down that middle linebacker spot, improves the defense, and then offensively with Goff and them, honestly, that offense, your dreams come true. I think it's not even going to be that good right now in week 1. But Jameson Williams got suspended for, I think, 4 games for gambling.
Yep.
So he's going to be missing some time. But when he comes back, then I'm curious to see how much better this offense can be. But until that happens, I got the Bears actually finishing first in this division.
Damn.
I just like the overall roster and how they were able to build it back up. And really, it's going to be predicated on Fields and how much better he's been able to develop as a quarterback this year is really where the Bears are going to kind of sit. The Lions I have nipping at their heels at second. And just because when I looked at it, I'm not thrilled about their offensive line still. Their offensive line, everyone says, oh, it's a solid position of theirs, but I don't know. Taylor Decker seems to get hurt every single year. Penei Sewell never amounted to be the offensive lineman they thought he was going to be. So I just feel like they might have a little bit more weaknesses. They still are able to overcome them sometimes, but I still feel like that team is going to be held back just a little bit, but still very possible they can make the playoffs. In the third spot, I got the Vikings. Yeah, you can say they got Justin Jefferson. You can say, oh, Kirk Cousins is there. They got tremendous chemistry. You know, he's going to spread the ball around and with KJ Osborne. But one guy they're missing is a bigger piece, I think, than people are letting on. Dalvin Cook is no longer there. They have Alexander Madison as the starting running back. I'm sorry. He's nowhere close to being Dalvin Cook fast. He's nowhere close to being as quick as Dalvin Cook. He's a much bigger running back who I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of home runs with. And defensively, they've lost some players in that aspect too, where their corners to me are still weak. I don't think they're going to be as strong defensively. So I have them kind of, excuse me, I have them kind of like in just like limbo in this division where I feel like they're going to kind of figure out themselves, and by the end of the year, they're going to end up third, and they're going to miss the playoffs. And then who knows what happens after that with Kirk Cousins and whatnot. And then I got the Packers last. And the only reason why I got the Packers last is because of the uncertainty. We don't know how good Jordan Love is. We still don't. We've seen flashes in the pan in limited play, but you don't have like a Devontae Adams there still. You know what I mean? You got these guys like Christian Watson coming back in his second year to be that number one guy. But will Love and him really connect? Romeo Doubs, which got hurt last season as a rookie. Is he going to be an impact player or not? Like, there's a lot of question marks for this offense. And let's face it, you talked about it earlier in the show. Green Bay's offensive line, aging, always getting hurt. I think that's going to continue this year, which is going to lead to problems for Jordan Love, problems for that offense. And that's why I kind of have the Packers slipping to dead last.
All right. Nathaniel says he has the Lions 10-7, Bears 9-8, Vikings 6-11, Packers 3-14. Yeah, I mean, I like what the Lions have been able to do here, and you talked about how well they played last year, also playing spoiler and knocking some teams out of the playoffs too on top of it. Nathaniel says, I think the Vikings are quietly tearing it down to the studs on this one. Okay. But I mean, when you're looking at this division, I mean, it's tough, and I like what the Bears are doing. I think they could possibly be on the upturn. But I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions on this one, because I think they're just trending up there. Their offense was ranked number one early on in the season
for the first 5 weeks.
Yep, and again, they're adding on to that defense too on top of it. So I think and they're well coached. So I think they got a great nucleus of guys right now. I think they're just poised and ready to win. So I like the Lions here to finally take the division for once, Joe. How about that? When was the last time we thought about that? The Detroit Lions taking a division. And then after that, I do have the Minnesota Vikings in second here. And because I think Kirk Cousins has a little more left in the tank. Yes, they've lost a little bit here too, but I'm not ready to buy into the Bears yet. They started to, get rid of a few players here, but yes, they did draft well and grab some other people, then also in free agency. But I think they're just going to be trending upwards. I just don't think they're ready yet here for the 2 spot. I still like what O'Connell was able to do with this offense here, and Kirk Cousins another year in it, even though they don't have a Dalvin Cook. They still have Justin Jefferson, who's still, probably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL at this point. And so I like the Minnesota Vikings here at second, the Bears, and then finally rounding out is the Green Bay Packers, because I don't believe in their quarterback at all, and weapons just aren't there either, and defense has been flawed before, and they're just the same now. So
I mean,
it's a difference without Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. That's the thing, is like, you don't have Rodgers. You don't have any like big time playmaking receiver. Like, Watson is a guy that he's definitely trending upwards as of last year, coming in there as a rookie and making some of the big plays that he did. But in the end, it's going to be all about like, how will Love play? Is he going to miss some receivers that are wide open? Is he going to misdiagnose the offensive play and force a throw instead of hitting the open guy underneath? So a lot of question marks with Love, and I feel like that's kind of where our mindsets are with why the Packers kind of slipped down, is we're just not sure with the quarterback yet, and offensive line is, historically just keeps getting injured, so I think that's just going to lead to problems down the road.
Next we got the NFC South here in Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. Joe, what do you got here? The Saints?
What are we on?
The South.
Oh, the South. This one was a little easier for me. I got the Saints number one winning this division, hands down. Like, not even going to be that close, I would say, because of all the advancements that they've made. They got the returning of Michael Thomas coming back. He's healthy now. He's taken plenty of time off. And all reports got out of camp for the Saints. It's like Derek Carr linked up with Thomas. They work, after practice is over. They're really dialing down on their chemistry, and guys like Chris Olave is excited and everything. You're not going to see Kamara until week 4, because he's serving a 3-game suspension. But still, that defense is super solid and intact. The offensive line is one of the best in the business. And then you insert a franchise quarterback now with this team. We saw what they were able to do last year. They kind of struggled with the quarterback. They didn't really have one, in mind. Andy Dalton struggled at times. So now they're set there at that position, and I think that's really going to kind of put them over the hump, especially for this division. After that, it's anybody's guess, really. You have a rookie quarterback in the Panthers and Bryce Young. You have the Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield. He struggled mightily this preseason. Kyle Trask, when he was trying to compete against him, also struggled. So that they got a good team. The Buccaneers actually have a good team overall, but I feel like the quarterback play is going to hold them back. The Falcons, though, they're the interesting team in this division besides the Saints. Falcons vastly improved their secondary on defense. They improved their defense as a whole. And then offensively, we all know Drake London. We all know Kyle Pitts, but their new addition in Bijan Robinson, I feel like is going to be a guy that's going to help this offense on the ground, in the air. He's going to do a lot of things extremely well. They're another team that secretly has a very good offensive line. The only question is Desmond Ridder. How good can Ridder, run this team? How good can he maintain composure? He's a new quarterback for them. That's going to be the question mark. If he can at least manage the games, this team is going to be a competitive team this year. And that's really going to be where the Falcons sit. So I got the Falcons finishing second in this division. I got the Bucs finishing third because I'm going to give the edge to Baker Mayfield, who is a vet, with this Bucs team that has a really good defense. And, of course, they got Chris Godwin and Mike Evans as their offensive weapons. And then the Panthers, still a young team, but Brian Burns is holding out. They have a good nucleus of defensive players, and offensively, I feel like with a rookie quarterback, it usually doesn't amount to a lot of wins. It usually adds to mistakes. We've seen them struggle this offseason, so I think the Panthers kind of end up last.
All right, Nathaniel's in the house where
He
he's
said,
got his picks.
Saints 12-5 in first. He's got the Panthers finishing 11-5 with a rookie quarterback. That's amazing.
Impressive.
I don't see that happening, but who knows? The Falcons, he's got them 10-7, and then the Bucs dead last at 3-14. Impressive, very impressive. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of confidence when it comes to rookie quarterbacks. It's usually a down year for them. In their first year, and I can't think that with the Buccaneers team overall and Baker Mayfield as much success as he had with the Rams, that now I understand it's a new offense and he's coming over, but I still think that he's going to be able to do enough with guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to kind of really keep the Buccaneers.
And that's kind of
afloat.
like where I'm going with the whole division too. Saints again, they have been there hanging with the Bucs before when Tom Brady was there, and they put a good fight on him. Now he's not there in the house with them.
Right.
So it's their division to lose, and Derek Carr is a nice fill in here from what they've had in the past, at least last year, with mixing it up between, Jameis Winston being injured and Andy Dalton.
Yeah, now they got a quarterback.
There you go. And hopefully all their weapons can stay healthy here. I think they take the division. I'm going to give the second to the Bucs just because of the talent that they have. There's too much talent here for them to be horrible. Like you're saying, they're just now that they don't have Tom Brady, that they're absolutely lost and they can't do anything. They have the better wide receiver talent in this division than the Panthers and the Falcons. So for Baker Mayfield, he can't even screw this up, and he actually won some games too with the Rams when he filled in for the Rams for that little bit too. So I mean, it's going to be the same type of scenario I think with this team, and I think they got a good defense, and that's all that Todd Bowles needs to really worry about at this point.
One thing I just got to say this. So last year their center went down. Guess what happened again this year? Ryan Jensen's down, done for the year.
Yeah,
that's going to be another big
I hear
thing.
You. That's fine. But again, he was saying too, they didn't need to do the stem cell changed too? And was
Oh,
he
he's
said
going to
that
be
he
out for the
figured
year.
That's what. Well, I'm saying that's what he's saying. What he hurt him more or something. He instead of doing surgery, I think he did try to do some kind of stem cell replacement.
Okay.
And to try and heal it that way. And he says that that ended up doing something else.
It did
that
worse?
worse, and that's what
Really?
did something. Yeah, he did some experimental type of thing to
Because
heal
usually,
himself to come
I
back
mean,
from it.
you hear a
change, yeah.
lot of success stories, from
Right.
baseball players, football players that kind of take that stem cell route, and they said, "Oh, well, I got back in shape a lot quicker." But to hear a negative like that, that's kind of crazy.
Yep. And then again, like what you said with the feeling it out, Desmond Ridder, I'm not sold on that, and even the wide receiver talent for the Falcons here, besides their tight end, but. We'll see. It's a lot of question marks for me. I like what they did on defense, adding talent. Absolutely. They did an overhaul to help them out. So I think that I got to give them the benefit of the doubt. And Bryce Young and the Panthers just feeling it out. So that's how I got the division laying out. All right. Was that Nathaniel there next?
He said, Atlanta Falcons quarterback sucks, but I don't care. They have 2 running backs that I think will be used a lot. I really like Atlanta this year.
There you go.
And here's the thing. Is we can't say he sucks because we don't know what he is. I mean, he hasn't taken over the starting role or anything. Like, this is his first legitimate chance to prove to everybody. We saw him later in the year last year, kind of like, oh, I'm going to play the last couple of games. But now you're looking at a team that's healthier. Like, their offensive line is much better. Bijan Robinson, like Cordero Patterson, I'm interested to see how they utilize him this year because they drafted Bijan Robinson to be the featured back. Now, does that mean maybe they get a little creative, like wishbone formation, where they have Patterson and Robinson in the backfield, and Patterson goes out for a pass or something? So we'll see. And we all know that Arthur Smith loves to utilize double tight end sets. So I think he's going to be creative with this offense. I think that's what's going to help Ridder. He's going to get the ball out of his hands quicker. He's going to utilize Bijan, obviously, and We'll see how this Falcons team comes together offensively.
All right, Joe. Finally, the NFC West here.
That's it. The last one.
Here we go. The Cardinals and the Rams stuff. I think they're going to be struggling. So for me, I think this is down to between two ponies in this race.
Absolutely.
We've got the San Francisco 49ers, Seahawks. I like what they did last year here. Geno Smith, comeback player of the year.
Yep.
Looks good. They've got really great wide receiver talent too on this end here. San Francisco, they've got the whole nugget all together too. Again, see how Brock Purdy stays healthy. For me, I'm just going right to mine. I like the 49ers, Seahawks, and then it's Rams and Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, 49ers, until they get knocked off, I'm going to have to go with them with number 1 spot. They're going to win the division. And the one thing that I think is going to be interesting is their right tackle position. There's no more Mike McGlinchey there. He moved on and went to Denver. Can this Kivitz character, can he kind of lock it down like Mike did? So that would be probably the only question for me for this team. We know that they're going to run the ball. They're going to utilize all their assets in Debo and Brandon Ayuk and what have you and Kittle. But they're the definite favorite of this division. But the Seattle Seahawks, I kind of struggled with. I almost put Seattle in first on this one because I was kind of playing with it, and I'm like, well, wait. Well, when we compare the roster and stuff, they're not that much different. The only difference is, though, Seattle still does not have a true pass rush. They have a couple of D tackles that are very good D tackles, but nobody that's really going to threaten, I feel like, off the edge. And because of that is the reason why I gave the Niners the edge. Seattle, though, like you mentioned, offensively, they got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and a rookie who looks like he's going to be healthy enough to play week 1. Jackson Smith and Jibba looks like a legit joystick on the football field. Like, he's going to be a problem, I feel like, throughout the year. Kenneth Walker is healthy once again. And then defensively, they got better. They got Devin Witherspoon coming out of the college draft to lock it down at corner. I mean, there's a lot to like, and Jamal Adams is now healthy. So he's coming back. So this defense looks pretty stout. The only problem I have with them is up front on the D-line, but that I have them finishing second. I still think Seattle makes the playoffs. And then after that, like you kind of just mentioned, I'm going with the Rams because Stafford's returning. I feel like the veterans that they do have in place, they're going to do enough to remain third in the division. And the Cardinals, God help them. No Kyler Murray as of right now, their offensive line is almost inept. And defensively, they lost some pieces. They traded away Simmons. Like, I'm just not buying into the Cardinals anymore. I think they're done. They're washed up, and they are hitting the reset button.
Absolutely.
What we got? Nathaniel said, where are we going? He said, okay,
Panthers get most
of their losses in the beginning of the season, but I think they will figure things out in the middle of the season. I don't. Nathaniel also said, I'm going to give the NFC rankings from worst to first. NFC West.
There you go. All right.
So, yeah, we did the divisions here.
Yes, there's the divisions, Joe.
Yes, sir.
While Nathaniel comes up with his thing, why don't you tell everybody how they can
it's very
help
easy.
Support the show
very
and
easy,
everything
very
and
easy.
become a know-it-all.
Just do us a huge favor. Head over to YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. You can also follow us on Facebook if you want to become a member, become a know-it-all, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Make sure you hit the follow button on your iTunes account, on your Spotify account, you name it, we're there. Become a member, become a know-it-all. Be interactive with us. Comment down below. We'll stop what we're doing just to talk to you guys out there because that's what it's all about. It's about being interactive, giving you guys a voice.
Absolutely. We love it. We like seeing guys we haven't seen in a while too. And, I know everybody takes a break during the summertime. They're doing a lot of crazy stuff, but it's good to see Obi-Wan back here in the house with us and also Nathaniel too.
Yes, sir.
To keep it up, keep it coming, and we love the comments. All right, so let's get into our week one, Joe. Week one is finally here. We have our picks competition.
Again.
Last year we had Cody on with the show. He was part of our show last year. It's kind of Cody was kind of almost like that experiment that the partridge, not the partridge, but it was like the Brady Bunch when they added the little nephew and stuff like that, to try and get something going with the show and stuff like that.
Spice
this
things
didn't
up.
really fit right and stuff like that. And it was an experiment, didn't work out so well, but we had a lot of fun though.
We did.
And we did get to make fun of Cody a lot, and we ended up all drinking in the picks competition because all. Well, Cody, we didn't take his picks at all, I don't think. But we all tied, right? Joe, we tied. It is, the picks competition at the end. We had 177 wins again, which I think is impressive again,
pretty
Joe.
good, right?
And 102 losses and 2 ties. We did count ties. A lot of people, we had a debate last year about ties. You guys do ties.
Does it count as a win or a loss?
But we all drank. We had a good time, and it was a lot of fun. And
we
had
still
some
love
good
you,
live
Cody.
shows last year. We do
still
Cody.
love you.
I'm just messing with you. But here we are. We're back at it. And Joe, week one, it's getting crazy. And now with the mix-up with the different teams and everything, now Kansas City, who would have known, and Detroit, an opener.
The opener tomorrow night.
Thursday night football. It's a juicy one that people are salivating over. The fact that Detroit Lions here can go into Kansas City and possibly come out of here with a win.
That's the craziest part is that we're talking about the Detroit Lions competing against one of the great teams in the NFL.
The returning champions, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just call it the way it is here.
But Kansas City at home is very hard to play. It's a very hard environment to play. And the only thing that can kind of save you from it is if you get an early lead and you kind of quiet the fans down and make it more like a neutral field if you can. But if the Chiefs start to get, a running start and they get a lead, usually they don't give it back up. So for Detroit, I love the Lions, this season and how they made some key additions to the roster, holes that they used to have, but now are strengths, hopefully. And then the Lions overall, they're just a very tough team. And I will say this, going into Kansas City, we mentioned on how different this offense is going to look. No Travis Kelce in this game, most likely, unless we get a surprise. But I'm going to say this. I'm just kind of going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Detroit Lions are going to steal a win, not because they're better than the Chiefs, but because the Chiefs don't normally face this team. They can look at all the film that they want, but until they finally face them, I think that's going to be the deciphering difference.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got a few comments rolling through here, Joe. What do you want to rip them off here? What we got?
We got that's right. Nathaniel did mention he was going to list the NFC West. He's got dead last. He's got the Rams finishing 1-15. He's got the Cardinals at 2-14. Woo! He's got the Seattle Seahawks 8-9.
Wow.
is what I gave them because I
Okay.
think they might
Okay.
be higher on that one. Be higher on that.
Mm-hmm.
Niners at one, but I think they could go lower than that. Well, anybody can go lower. That's for damn sure. But the Seahawks, I'm surprised you have them at 8 and 9 for what they were able to do last year. And now that they returned, they didn't lose players; they gained them. So I don't know how I could see them going below 500. But okay, we'll see what happens. And then we got Greg.
We got Greg Schreiner in
Greg
the house.
Schreiner's in the house.
King of Spadaz. Joe.
Welcome, Greg.
Spadaz is
I'll
in
take
the house.
Lions. They will get knocked down and bite a kneecap off on the way up.
Caps off on the way out. Yes.
I like it. Nathaniel also says Chiefs with Kelsey, Lions without. Interesting. John Turner's
To be or
back,
not to be.
baby.
Oh, John
Turner, everybody.
You got to
Welcome
get him
back,
while
John.
he's out of prison. That's what
Welcome
you gotta
back,
do.
brother. He said Seattle wins the West.
I like
All right.
it. I like it. The Wild
I'm not
West.
mad at that.
Let's
I'm
get
not
it.
mad at that. And then Nathaniel said Niners 10 and 7. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. He
So he
didn't put
gave the
there.
record
So
for
there
them.
you go. Yeah, so he said he could
Okay.
go flip-flop the other way. But
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, hey, I could see it happening either way. But yeah, John, okay. We got Seattle there.
Yeah.
Seattle in the house.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you got Detroit on that. I'm going to ride with Kansas City again because they're tricky here. We've heard this whole time about, maybe it's hyperextended knee. Now it's just a boom bruise. And they even said here today that he's not labeled as out. He's labeled as a question still. So we'll find out around game
Tomorrow.
time whether it's
No,
going to
not
happen.
even game time.
So
It'll come out tomorrow.
We'll see what it's going to be. But even so, Kansas City at the Kingdom here is really tough to beat. And I think
They are
Andy
really
Reid,
tough to beat.
they're just going to have it kind of dialed up and bring out the poison here for Detroit. Detroit's going to give them something to talk about, though. They're going to give them a rough go here, but I like Kansas City to win this one here. All right, going into Sunday's games. Carolina and Atlanta here. We get to see those two teams now poised against each other. We talked about the young quarterbacks here at this one. Atlanta at home. Joe, what do you got in this one?
I like Atlanta right now. I like their defense better. Their offense is going to be a little bit more in sync than Carolina is. We know that the Panthers have struggled on offense in the preseason a little bit, and because you got a new rookie quarterback coming in here, I still think he's going to do okay. But I will say I give the edge to the defense. Like Brian Burns is not going to be there for the Panthers. I like the chances with Ritter. I don't think he's going to be asked to do a whole lot, and I think the Atlanta defense and the offense are going to come together. I got Atlanta at
I
home.
hear you there too. Again, Carolina, they trade away DJ Moore, and their answer is let's go get aging Adam Thielen here, who now he thinks they're a Super Bowl bound team.
Keep an eye out for.
I think he could do something.
Keep an eye out for the Panthers rookie Jonathan Mingo to be a factor.
Yep. And Atlanta Falcons, again, they really did an overhaul on defense. They're at home. I'm going to like them at home too as well. Nathaniel says Atlanta wins this one here on top of it.
I like it.
All right.
Chiming in.
So maybe I should change. I don't know. He's smoking some serious shit today, so I don't know. I might change it. No, I'm kidding. All right. Then you got the Cincinnati Bengals now here in the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh,
Joe,
that's
what
a
do you
good
got
one.
here? Cleveland at home.
Man.
Can Deshaun Watson get it done? Joe Burrow again banged up here, but I think he'll play in this game.
No, he's healthy right now. He's throwing. I believe today or tomorrow he's going to be throwing without any restrictions. So he's definitely trending towards being a full go come this Sunday. For the Bengals, like we talked about him earlier, Cleveland, it's going to be a question mark of how well Watson plays. I think these two teams are kind of even, to be honest. I feel like they both bring a little bit something special, and Joe Burrow, you know what you're getting. Watson, we really don't know what to expect. I know that he's played better this preseason than obviously last year, but I'm going to go with the Browns at home here. I'm going to say the Browns can stay. They're at home. I think that might give them a little bit of an edge being home, and I'm betting on Watson to be better.
All right. I know Cincinnati usually gets a slow start here, but again, I think both running backs are going to be able to get their due in this one. I think Nick Chubb is going to get his yardage here, but that's where it's going to, I think, fall for Cleveland here. I like the Cincinnati Bengals on this one. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. Colts
Jaguars.
at home, but the Jaguars again looking really nice. Colts. Yeah, still trying to figure things out. So Joe is going with Jacksonville.
I'm going to say Jaguars. I'm
gonna
listen.
agree with him on
I
that
picked
one
them to
too as
win
well.
the division. It starts this week.
It starts this
you
week,
know,
right?
Where they're going to come in. They're going to look to prove people that, like, hey, we're not only going to win the game, we're going to look to be dominant in this game and pick on Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, as gifted of an athlete he is, I still am not confident in this offensive line. They didn't do any improvements there on the tackle position. And defensively, I feel like half the time their own defense fights against themselves. So I'm going with Jags.
All right, we got the Bucks and the Minnesota Vikings here.
Hold on.
Nathaniel's got the Colts actually.
He's
here
got the
in this
Browns.
one.
Nathaniel's got the Browns in the Bengals game.
Yep.
And he's got the Colts in this one actually at home, thinking they're going to steal away the home field advantage and a win. Interesting. I like it, but interesting.
Hashtag know-it-all.
That's right, baby. Next one is Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Minnesota Vikings. And this is kind of where these are two teams that we have kind of on the downturn. You got a little bit more positivity on the Bucks.
Yeah.
But Minnesota,
for both teams,
I'm telling you right now, if it comes down to it, like Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a much better defense than the Vikings do. And I feel like Baker Mayfield is going to have a field day with Mike Evans in this one. Like I'm not buying into Minnesota's corners at all. And to be honest with you, if all the Vikings have is Justin Jefferson, he's being double teamed. They're going to look to try to shut him out and make Kirk Cousins throw elsewhere. So I love Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield to kind of steal this one in week 1.
All right. Nathaniel, he says, what about Jacksonville Jags?
He said Jags the second time around, but Colts this time.
So they split. There
Okay,
you
so you're saying they split?
All right, and he says
Vikings.
Vikings in this
He says
one.
Vikings being at home.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for me too because again, like I said, I like Baker Mayfield with the Bucks here because again, the talent around him. It's hard to deny all that. Minnesota and Kirk Cousins.
I would
maybe
say
I've
this.
grown fond about him watching that quarterback show then too. It's just maybe I'm just in his corner. I'm like I'm feeling that aging type of dude or whatever. And like, hey, I believe in this guy. He's taking the ice baths because he's taking hits and he's trying to learn to get these things and get it going.
Yeah,
Maybe
I would say this though about Minnesota being home. The real kind of thing that would kind of turn my cheek on this pick is if Cook was still there, I think he gives that offense such a huge advantage that to me, Madison, I've seen him run. He's an average running back. Like, I don't think he's anything special. So I think that's what's going to hold him back a little bit.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough
with.
one. This is going to be a knockout dragout, I think. But you
Yeah,
know what? I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings on this one.
Okay.
Just for the hell of it. Why not?
Why not?
Because you could go either way on this one. I've
Right.
seen Kirk Cousins, and we've seen him come with some good wins last year.
Yeah,
but then we've
right.
seen him fall, a few different times here.
It's
and
different.
It's not a
It's
primetime game, so why not? Right?
Right.
You like that? There we go. All right.
But I mean,
And then next up, we've got the Tennessee Titans and the New Orleans Saints here, Joe. New Orleans at home. Tennessee Titans, again, you're saying they're going to take a step back here with what they have here. You like the New Orleans Saints?
and this is where they take that step back. New Orleans, I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the NFL, and they're home to open up week 1. I don't think it's any debate. I think I would be absolutely shocked if the Titans pull this out, but I'm going Saints all the way.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. Again, I like the Tennessee Titans offense, what they got, but I don't think it's built to hang with this New Orleans team the way they're set up.
And it depends, right? Like, we've seen Tennessee in years past, they love to run a lot, and is that going to change? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to, because they have Treylon Burks, and they have Hopkins now. Now, with the addition of Hopkins, for his decision to go there, which we thought was a little curious why he would choose that team, knowing it's a running team. Now did they have a conversation where like, hey, we want to utilize you in our offense. We're going to open it up a little bit more now that you're here. Was that part of the bargaining chip for him to go there? I wonder, is the offense going to change a little bit to where now they're going to make it more of a balanced offense? We'll have to wait and see. And maybe that's kind of what transpires here. Maybe we see a different Tennessee Titan offense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so but I'm going to roll with you on this one too as well, and go with the New Orleans Saints. Next, we've got the San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers here, Joe, at home.
Yeah. This is going to be tough. I mean, usually it's very tough for West Coast teams to come to the East Coast and play at 1 o'clock and be themselves. Like we've seen, they're a little bit more fatigued from the jet lag and whatnot. So, but the Niners, man, it's hard to pick against them right now. They're one of those teams that you really don't want to pick against them. At Pittsburgh, I like the Steelers. Don't get me wrong. Despite what I have them, in the division, I really do like where they're headed. And I think that the Pittsburgh is going to keep this a close game early on. But by the end of it, I think San Fran pulls through and the Niners get the win.
All right, here, Nathaniel's got the Saints in the last one, and he's got
Steelers.
the Steelers here at home. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Again, I like the Pittsburgh defense here, and also J.J. Watt or T.J. Watt on one side, and you've got, Nick Bosa on the other side. I think it's going to be a great storyline to watch these two defenses go at each other. So what are you going to get out of the offense? You know what I mean? What we have here with the 49ers.
Biggest thing is that you just mentioned Nick Bosa. He signed a big-time deal, so now he is going to be playing. He was going to be one of those holdouts, and they managed to get the damn deal done just in time for now they're going to insert him back into the lineup.
But, I mean, Pittsburgh, they really have a great dynamic here, not only having Najee Harris there, but what Pickens has been able to do, the Pickett-Pickens connection here have got people buzzing. So will they be able to get it done against his defense, though? It's going to be tough. So it's going to be, a tough defensive game, but I think I am going to lean towards San Francisco's side just because of the talent that's wrapped around that.
Dude, that pass rush right now that you add Bosa to that, with the right tackle that they have, didn't make an upgrade there. They have Broderick. They drafted Broderick Jones, so I thought he would be in the lineup, but according to our lads for depth chart, Broderick Jones is a backup, believe it or not, even though he's a first-round pick. So I'm kind of wondering, is he injured? What's going on with that? So I think that, the Steelers' offensive line are definitely going to have their hands full.
All right, next up, we've got the Cardinals and the Washington Commanders.
Oh, yes.
I don't even think they should televise
Is this even a game?
Right? I know Nathaniel really likes Sam Howell, but Commanders, you got to go with the Commanders then at home, again, because like you said, you like that front four, what they got. If you look at Arizona, I don't really like a whole lot of anything with this team. You know what I mean?
I mean, what you're going to point the finger at, Hollywood Brown? Marquise Brown to be the go-to guy.
James Conner going to light it up for you here.
Kyler Murray's not starting. So. You got your backup quarterback, not Colt McCoy anymore.
Nope.
Is it Josh? Is it Dobbs?
Dobbs. Yep.
Josh Dobbs is going to be slinging the rock.
Again, he's only been there for a very short time, so I got to roll with the Commanders on this one.
Maybe Zach Ertz might have a big game for all you fantasy owners out there.
Yeah,
he'd be the only receiver open,
right?
All the time. Yeah, I'm going to also follow line there, too, with Washington. Yep. I mean, despite the weak interior O-line, I just like the roster better, and I think they're at home. So, yeah, Washington all the way.
Why not? All right, Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens, Joe. I know you like Houston to change the corner a little bit here.
But not this week.
Baltimore, you really like Baltimore here and what they're doing this season moving forward into the playoffs.
Greg just chimed in and said, I'll take Arizona for whoever quarterback to surprise us all. Josh Dobbs is not going to surprise you.
You are fake news.
And Nathaniel said he's got the Commanders in that one as well.
Yep.
But yeah, Houston at Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore's home. Enough said. I love the defense. I really look. Like in college football, how the first week of the season, usually these bigger colleges, they're like, oh, we're gonna play against Montana State University. We're Ohio State. We're gonna play Montana State University and just beat the crap out of them for confidence reasons and morale. Mm-hmm. Well, this is that week in the NFL for Baltimore. Mm-hmm. They're just going to beat up on Houston as a morale booster for the rest of the season. So being home, Baltimore all the way.
All right, there we go. I've got the Ravens too as well.
Nathaniel says he's got the Ravens.
Says the Ravens too as well. All right, here we got Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears here. no longer Aaron Rodgers. We said it a bunch of times.
Right.
So he cannot possibly, unless he still owns property in Chicago, he might still own Chicago at one point, but it's not in this game. So Green Bay, I don't like what they've got going on here for their team. I think they're in the reset mode, and I'm not sure what I'm going to see out of them. So I like Chicago. They're on an upturn from last year. I like them here. Plus, they play well at home either way. I mean, Aaron Rodgers might have said, I own you still, but I think those were still close games where he just edged him out. So it could have went the opposite way for him.
Gotcha. Green Bay and Chicago, I'm going to go Bears. I love the Bears roster. I think it's going to be superior to Green Bay's right now. And I'm curious to see how Justin Fields looks in week 1.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos here, Joe.
Broncos at home. That's the one key factor. They are home. New
that
coaching staff, obviously.
air.
And here's the only problem that I have with this game. Because it's week 1, because Denver has a new offense, because Denver has a new defensive coordinator, because there's a few new things in terms of the schemes that they're going to use. I don't know if they're going to be all on the same page just now. And we looked at when we were looking at all the receiving depth charts, the Broncos have 3 wide receivers that are going to be active as of right now for this game. I don't know, man. Marvin Mims has a lot of pressure on him as a rookie to try to perform, and Cortland Sutton's a vet. So I expect a lot of teams kind of key on stopping the run and then maybe even just shutting down Sutton, trying to double team him and seeing what this offense could do after that. With that being said, I am not a fan of the Raiders this season, but I, however, am going to pick them in this game. I got the Raiders going up against the Denver Broncos, their offensive line. Yes, they added Mike McGlinchey, but Crosby is going to be going up against Garrett Bowles, which I feel is going to be a huge mismatch. And I like the Raiders in this one.
All right. I hear you there. But, again, I think I might side on the side of the Denver Broncos because it's just that they are home, and I think they play a little better there too. And the fact that it's just Sean Payton versus Josh McDaniels. Still, I think this team's a little in disarray. But, again, I'm not sure what to see out of Jimmy G in this offense.
Well, you wanted to see much from him.
I know you still have Devontae Adams and all that stuff. It's great weapons to have in Hunter Renfrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking it's gonna be a close game. I just think Denver. I think with Sean Payton, I don't think he's gonna want to come out of Denver here this first game against the rival with a loss.
Of course not.
So I'm gonna.
But they also got to try to stop the rushing king.
No, I hear you, but I'm gonna go with the Broncos on this one. All right, next we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the
New England
Patriots.
That's right. Philly all the way. Eagles have a superior roster. They are, they were formerly right in the Super Bowl, right in the thick of things, almost got pulled away with a win. And going into New England, even though they're playing in New England, it's a tough place to play. I feel like the Eagles are going to just kind of, I don't think it's going to be like a washout where they're just going to come in and just destroy the Patriots, but I think they're going to win handily.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think New England, defensively, they might draw up some different schemes to try and confuse Jalen Hurts a little bit, but with the amount of talent that they have here, too, on this team, and on the opposite, to rely on that defense against New England's offense, I think will help be the balancer and the decider on this one. I don't think, like Greg thinks it's going to be a beatdown. I don't think it's going to be a complete beatdown, but I think they are the better team. I'd say at least, a 14-point lead maybe on this one, or 14-point win. I like the Philadelphia Eagles on this one. What else do we got? What does he say?
Nathaniel said, I'm going to take the Broncos, but the game will be ugly. However, I feel the same way about Denver that I do about Atlanta. They will be running the ball a lot.
Oh, there you go. All right. Next, we've got the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Chargers here, Joe.
This is kind of exciting.
It's spicy. Right?
Yeah, I like it.
It has spazz.
It does have spazz, a whole lot of it. Miami, very explosive offense. I mean, when last time we saw Tua on the football field with this team as a whole, they were hard to stop. The defense is pretty good. The Chargers at home, though, where
2,000-yard receivers, Joe.
Yeah.
Imagine
it's
that.
It's insane.
Yeah,
definitely. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, there's a lot to like. And they made improvements to that receiving core. Now, I mean, they got guys like Cedric Wilson. I mean, it is insane how deep they are at receiver. But coming into the LA Chargers home, well, we'll just say visiting. Miami will probably have Miami. This is probably a home game for Miami, believe it or not. They'll probably have more Dolphins fans there than they will Chargers fans. So you could kind of swap them and say that the Miami's home. But the Chargers, they're expected to win. They're one of these teams that we talk about like the last couple of years. Like they are a team where on paper they look like a top 5 defense. They look like a top 5 offense. They got to put it together this year. And it starts week 1. This is their first test against a team that can score pretty quickly. And this is going to be a battle, I think, going back and forth. I'm going to take the Chargers just based on because they're home. Because I feel like they're both evenly matched in this game.
All right. Greg Schreiner has a comment.
He says, as much as I hate to say, but the Dolphins may have that spadazz and get some quick wins early in the season. True, but I don't know if this will be it. We'll see.
We shall see.
And Nathaniel picked the Chargers as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be. I think this
could go either way. It could go either way.
I think the decider here is just even quarterback. I would just say, just because they both have receiving talent, they both can run the ball.
I like the Dolphins'
talent.
Receiving talent better.
Yeah, I know. I liked it too as well. But I mean, and then defensively, they both have some good defenses too. So right. I mean.
I'll take the Chargers defense over Miami.
Nice. But I mean, I'm going to side on the Chargers side, just because again, just not that home field as advantage is good for him, but Miami traveling west.
It's not even home. Let's just say what it is. Like they don't have a home. Right. Anybody that comes to LA, they have more fans than they do.
I really like their stadium that they share with the Rams, though, too. It's a really nice stadium.
They're the tenants of that. Yeah. Like, it's not their home.
They were trying to leech off whoever they could, whoever was going to stay here.
Next one, we got L.A. Rams at Seattle Seahawks, and honestly, like, it's Seattle. Seattle's home for one, and Seattle's a much better team than the Rams. Even though I feel like this is going to be a very close game early on, maybe into the fourth quarter, and then maybe Seattle takes a 2-touchdown lead to win the game.
I hear you. I could maybe play it out too the same way. Again, no Cooper Kupp, and again, the Rams are reaping, what they sow. They go all in for that Super Bowl. You got it, and then now you had no draft picks,
no money,
and no money. You know what I mean? You're done, and Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Donald's still there, and probably looking around like, why did I do this?
Why did Sean McVay come back to coach?
Why did any of them do it? So they're kind of there, and and now Matthew Stafford's sitting there looking around. He's like, I'm the old dude with a bunch of other people that we don't know around here, and here I am. You know what I mean?
Van Jefferson to the rescue.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully you can get something out of Van Jefferson here this season. All right, next we've got Sunday Night Football. How about that? The Dallas Cowboys and the New York Football Giants here.
Game of the week.
Home. I think, again, this is going to be a tougher game than the last year. And because of reasons I said before in the preview, I'm going to pick the New York Giants on this one.
Yes. I'm going to go with the Giants as well. I just think that the Giants are more equipped to beat the Cowboys now more than ever. And they gave the Cowboys, honestly, last year a hard time with way less personnel. So this year is going to be different. This is going to be the year where the Giants kind of really push for the playoffs especially and continue that run.
Yep. And then finally here, Monday Night Football.
Oh, man, this is a tough one, guys.
If people can even watch it on some of these things here too, but you'd have to watch it on YouTube or your other locations where you can find ESPN because that whole deal with them with Charter and everything now pulling the plug Disney. You gotta love that. Maybe Disney Plus will start holding all the football games too as well. I know they're trying to do it on Hulu because they own Hulu and everything too, but who knows? Maybe we'll see it. They just run their own empire. But we've got the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets here, Joe. The teams that were duking it out for the title of the division, like we talked about. You like the Bills. I like the Jets on this one just because Aaron Rodgers adds that little bit of spazz here to get him over the hump. Jets are at home. That was my question with a bunch of people here with this game. So seeing they are at home, I'm going with the New York Jets.
Yeah, Nathaniel just said he goes Chargers, he goes Seattle against the Rams, and then he goes Dallas Cowboys against the Giants. How dare you, Nathaniel?
Last
Go with
time
the
when
Cowgirls.
the Jets played the Bills and they had Mike White as quarterback, that defense again held them under 20 points.
Right.
The Bills,
Yeah.
and now you've got Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So
And
that's
it,
why I'm going
well,
with the Jets.
the thing is now it's all different. You know, you have Rodgers, but you also have a healthy team, like offensively. And that's the biggest thing. Garrett Wilson has tremendous chemistry with Rodgers. So I look for him to like be a big playmaker in this game. Offensive line is healthy for once. So you got to love the fact that the Jets are home in this one. This is where I think the Jets can steal a game against the Bills. I think when Buffalo was home, I feel like maybe that's where the Bills steal one. I think they split in the season. But I got the Jets just because they're home. And they're healthy for once.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, man, I would even like to look it up. Maybe I'll get this stat for next time or when we go to look at the Buffalo Bills again. But maybe we got to even take a look at Josh Allen and seeing his win percentage against some of these upper top tier quarterbacks. Because for right now, I see him do well throughout the season stuff. But when it comes to playoff time and stuff like that, the Bills just come up short. And I know it's not even a, marker on how well he plays and things like that, but everybody puts quarterback to quarterback. Peyton versus Tom Brady.
That's
and stuff
ridiculous
like that.
too.
That could be a thing. You know
It's
what I mean?
ridiculous.
So it could
It's
be
a team sport.
I know, I hear you, but again, maybe I'm telling you, this will be my thing, my prediction. I bet you they do some kind of comparison here with Aaron Rodgers again and Josh Allen here on Monday Night Football and say, about something about here.
But yeah, my thing is like, okay, it doesn't matter. It's week one. You're going to compare on things that when they were with different team or like Rodgers was on the Packers. You're going to show his stats with the Packers versus Allen with the Bills. Like it's all new now.
There you go. All right,
Greg said, "What do you think about McDermott calling defensive plays?" I think it's smart.
I like it.
I think he's the defensive mind, so why not? He should be calling the defensive plays. That's why he was brought into Buffalo. So I don't have any issue with it.
I like it too because again now because he's a good defensive-minded coach before, and he's always said that when he's a head coach, that takes away of some of that getting to know the players or even getting hands-on with them. Like he says, facing the grass, right there with everybody, get in the weeds. He really grabs a hold of these defensive players, which I think of some of them we really need to see more of, on that defense. We've got your, Milanos and things like that, Russos, but I want to see if you don't have your Von Miller in here, who's your main pass rusher that's going to do something for this defense on there. You know what I'm saying?
That's where I think Russo's got to step up this year.
Yeah,
Gregory Russo's got to step up.
Maybe he can do that, being the head coach and getting these guys' faces and really control that defense and make it his own.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing, too, is you remember, like, last season, Tre'Davious White was missing out of the lineup quite often. Now he's fully healthy, definitely going to come in strong, and they have their second-year returning corner, Khair Elam, who's going to look to make a splash as well.
He says, I agree. I think the defense has been the issue in the playoffs, and it wasn't the players that hurt them. Yeah, I think, again, defense just giving it up in the end, and then
Leslie Frazier, you're fired.
I mean, we've seen it. We saw it. Even Josh Allen, I think, in that one playoff game, comes out late in the game. Yeah. I want to say, wasn't there 30 seconds left in the game, something like that, and they're like, we've got this. And lo and behold, here you go, bang, bang, boom, and then the Chiefs walking out winners, just like that. And so you can't win a championship like that.
We'll see how well we do in week one. Usually this is like the first 2 or 3 weeks is like trying to figure out how good teams are. You know what I mean? When we're doing our game picks. So we're going to wait and see how that all unveils. And it's football time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Oh, we got Nathaniel chimes in. He says, remember the Jets game falls on 9/11 and on Monday. That hasn't happened in years. And in New York, your Jets win, and I don't think it will be as close as it seems.
Ooh.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. We'll see.
There you go. He's doing it again, and he's
not
dropping the hot takes.
I think it's going to be closer, though. I think it'll be a close game.
I hope it's a close game. I hope it's a good one, too. Absolutely.
I mean, you're not facing a slouch. It's not like, honestly, like you look at some of these other games and you could say, oh, well, Baltimore against Houston. Like
That's
it's not
crazy.
nothing like that.
Greg Strider. That's crazy talk. I like it. See,
Now, mind you, Nathaniel, Greg is a Bills fan.
he is a Bills fan.
So
There you go.
those are
So-
fighting words
Yeah.
right there.
Bills Mafia represent. So, hey, Joe, it's been a long off season, and without, football and stuff, we're back. It's crazy to think. Here we go.
Another
And
season,
Another
man.
crazy year where we don't know what's going to really happen here. It's
gonna be exciting,
We're
though.
excited to talk about it and excited to talk to you guys next week about what happens with all these games. Who knows? And
Nathaniel
join
says
us
Jets
next
by
time.
10.
Oh, boy, man.
You're really
We'll
starting
see.
to turn the screws now.
We'll
aren't
see
you?
on
Greg
this
goes,
one.
ha ha.
All right, here we go. But thank you so much for joining
Thanks,
us again.
guys.
Once again, join us next time, and we can talk all about it next week and the
That's right.
surprises, the bad calls, and all the nonsense that comes along with it. Hey, it's football. It's back.
Let's
Football
go.
on the No Show. Jim and Joe. We'll see you next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.